Good morning, everyone. We'll just start in just another minute as soon as we let everyone in. Give one more minute for folks to connect. We'll get rolling. Hope everyone's excited for our workshop this morning. I know I am.
I think we got some folks leading off in the chat, preempting. Who are you and where are you from? We know the routines now, right? We know the rules.
Yeah, so we do. Bachelor. All right. So, we got another person in here. Okay. Well, for honoring time this morning, I'm going to go ahead and at least start our introduction as we probably still have some folks arriving. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lisa Starkey. I am the Assistant Director for the Center for Professional Learning at Arundel Community College. And I am truly honored to have been asked to help with the moderation of this recording or this webinar that we have that is being presented by our wonderful Maryland Distance Learning Association. Joining us this morning for our workshop on AI automation and authority, positioning instructional design as learning strategies, we have with us Patrick Dempsey. And Patrick has a doctorate of education in curriculum and instruction and an MBA in organizational management. Patrick is the founder and co-CEI of PendAI, providing cultural diagnostics for Human+AI work. And Patrick is super excited to be the editor of the recently released book, What Education Becomes, Teaching and Learning in a Post-AI World. So we just found out this morning it is released. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and start, Patrick.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being here. Thank you, everyone. We're gonna have some fun. That's the goal. Need you engaged. I know people love to sign up for webinars and then check their email. So don't do that. Yeah, let's check the hair. Does that work all right? Is it working in the chat? I feel like my camera's a touch low. Give me just a sec. Let me just raise that. Still a little bit, but I like the effect. All right, I'm going to share screen and we're going to get into it. Okay, everyone's going to get access to this in a minute, but we're going to start at the top. So I need you all engaged here because whenever I do presentations, there's something that happens, and the first question on everyone's mind is, where's this guy? Because you see Patrick Dempsey and you think you're getting the actor, but you get me, which can be disappointing. I disappoint a lot of people when I make reservations and then I show up because they expect someone else. But nevertheless, we're going to do something fun and it's going to have a point. And so I need you to get out your phone and scan this QR code. And I'm going to share my screen in a minute after we do this. It'll just take a minute or two. And let's see how well you know me, or actually the real Patrick Dempsey. I'm just going to wait, make sure everyone has this code because I want to see what's happening. It is a quiz competition. There are no prizes except for pride, which I think is worth more. I'm going to give it 10 seconds and then I'm going to go over. Okay, I'm jumping in myself. I know all the answers. Okay, we got some folks doing it here. I think the challenge of this quiz is if you get too many right, people start questioning, like, why do you know so much about this person? Is anyone seeing the new series? I think there is a murderer. I haven't seen it yet. I think a lot of people are getting all of these wrong, it looks like. We'll give it another 30 seconds. I mean, just guessing you should get 25% of these correct. Well, Winnie's going to be the big winner unless RJ's not done and has a last minute push. No, no, no. Okay. Thank you for all engaging with that. Now, the reason I did that is a couple things. I'm going to open up this next screen, and as I talk over this, you can have access to this page. You can scroll ahead, but it's sort of I use Notion as our main landing page. It lives with you after this session. You can jump ahead and see where we're going. I don't like I don't think presentations are meant to be mystery novels. So I'll leave that up. So the reason little story about that app, that experience we just did, is I always like to do something with my name because it's a funny icebreaker for folks you don't know. It's still connecting. And I wanted to do this quiz experience. I was like going to do Kahoot, or actually I was going to do quizzes, if any of you have used quizzes, and super fun. And you make like the avatar and you put in your multiple choice question. Again, it's all you can like customize the avatar, and it's got the gamification with the leaderboard and based on how many you have correct and how long it takes. And I guess that has gotten purchased by a like a venture capital, as ed tech often happens. And so they put all the great features behind a paywall. It's like, and you can't even pay by the month. It's like $200 for the year. So like I was like, oh, I'll get the 2 week free trial. And then I was like, well, wait a second, it's 2025. I can do this myself. And so I did it myself. I just went to Lovable. If any of you know the app, there's plenty of them, base 44, those types of apps. So it's a vibe coding app building site. And I went and first thing I did is I went to Gemini. I actually had the questions in mind that I wanted to ask. I do know a bit about Patrick Dempsey, but I didn't want to write all the options. So I just went to Gemini. I had it write 7 MCQs about Patrick Dempsey. These are the questions. It gave me those. And then I went to Lovable and I said, I want to create a quiz app like quizzes that scores on, it was basically like 2 sentences. And I had written in the instructions like, and do this in less than 20 minutes. And it did it in a single prompt in less than 2 minutes. And so I share that because that's just a different world that we're living in, right? That's a challenge. That's an opportunity, but it's a challenge to the work we do, or the way that we traditionally think of what's possible when we're designing courses on both sides, right? What's possible on the teaching side, what's possible on the student learning side, and then of course what our jobs become when these platforms, which traditionally were gated behind expertise, are now available to everyone. So now I'll assume everyone has access to this page, and I'm going to scroll through. And again, I have like level one headings and then usually level two headings, and I sort of just use them like slides. So I want to talk about why I think this moment is so interesting and disruptive. Um, Before that, in the chat, I'd love to just hear about how AI is, where you are using AI, how AI is affecting your institution. What are you seeing? What are challenges? What are opportunities? Just to level set us a little bit here. This is where I need those three dots, like ghosting, so I can see who's someone's about to type and the anticipation's building for what Edward's about to post. We've got a mix of emotions. Okay. I think Microsoft would be very pleased to know that Copilot's being used. Yes, the broad spectrum is real, right? It's integrated into LMS now in some ways. Excellent. So it's starting to reshape our work. It doesn't sound like it's totally redefining everything. So this will be a perfect setup. Yes, I could never do anything. I would be lost now in the world. I would lose my friend. I would lose my co-pilot. Excellent. Yeah, so there's a ton of opportunities in all those things, definitely in curriculum design. So I just want to level set a little bit. Has anyone seen these meta glasses? Has anyone worn them? My nephew got some for Christmas. It's great. They have the glasses on them, and you're just like, "Hey, Meta," and then you start asking about the world. Um, Obviously, some of them come with this like lens intelligence, and I think it's interesting in the sense that um, I think we can imagine the world when there was no technology, and then like a radio was created, and then people maybe put it in their house, and it was big, and then like the TV was created and ended up in people's homes, and people would start like gathering around it. And then let's say the next iteration was a desktop computer, and that put us from like sitting far away from the radio to getting closer to the TV to having the desktop, and then we got a laptop and it got a little bit closer, and then we got a tablet and it got closer, and then we had a phone and we're super close. And then the glasses are on you. I mean, this is like the transition of our relationship with technology and the expectation of how we actually engage with the world. Maybe it'll seem ridiculous a few years from now that people used to Google things, right? That we would have to like search through pages of blue links to get information that was just a dead end. It was just information. So I think this idea that these glasses to me show us that where maybe Google made the world searchable, AI is making it answerable. Like we're really interacting with the world in unique ways, and that's certainly changing our work. There's this telepathy application. It's like a headband that you wear, and supposedly um, it reads your thoughts. So you because like who would want to type? And then if you've given up typing, like who would want to dictate because talking is so tiresome. So now this thing is like you just think, and it apparently is intentional. So it doesn't like type what you don't want to say. So like the hidden thoughts like I can't believe no one's engaging in the chat right now. It wouldn't type that, but it would type whatever I don't know how it would do that. Seems pretty crazy to me. I don't know if you've seen this. Obviously, there's things like this. This is oboe.com. And basically, you put in a prompt and it just creates a course for you. And it just learns more and more about what you like. So obviously, it does the podcast, it does like some games, it does little quizzes from a prompt. And again, it's free to get started. And then it just, if you pay, it personalizes it more and more. So that's a thing. And then the last one, I don't know if you saw this the past few days, this from Companion AI, who had this Einstein bot, which was designed, I think, by a former student, and its function was specifically to go into Canvas and then do the course for you. Like that was its only function. But it not only did that, it like watched the videos, so it looked like you watched the videos, and it summarized them for you. But it was really, I mean, if it's doing your class, you're not interested in the video summary. So those to me are like just four things that I bring out about like, wow, when we got our degrees, when we started this job, this did not exist. And so to me, that says something is fundamentally changing. So now I want to think about our roles a little bit, like our roles specifically, but in the institution, but then how they relate to a student experience in what I'll say is the not too distant future. So you have access to this. If you don't, I'll scroll back up to the top for a minute if you're coming in late and read through this. And then the last two toggles, again, these are just toggles. You just open them and collapse them. The last two toggles are where you're going to respond to what you just read, and then we'll look at the results together. So it's like an embedded, uh, what is that thing where you click on the thing? What is that app called? Anyone in the chat? That thing that goes with PowerPoint? Poll everywhere. There we go. So read the scenario in the DITL and the not today in the life and the not too distant future, and then take a minute to respond, and then we'll look at the results. And for anyone who's late, I'm going to have this QR code. We got you. I'll put this in the chat. If anyone comes in late, someone can copy the link and share that with them. And we are on this day in the life section. We're just going to read through that, and then folks are starting to respond. I'll put a timer for 2 minutes and we'll see if we can see how everyone's responding. There we go. I love seeing different perspectives happening in these. Okay, I got a minute on my timer, so see if you can't make some informed decisions here about the future. I'm just toggling through to see the votes as they come in. The first Terminator or the second Terminator? Are we
All
come
of them. It just, it just, what was it? Skynet.
Skynet
Skynet.
for sure coming for us.
Yeah. But see, I'm old. I remember War Games with Matthew Broderick.
Right.
The machines were going to take over the world.
I mean, it seems
Dr.
like they have
Faulkner.
already, right?
Yeah. You know.
We're all just subject to whatever they're giving us. All right, so we got some perspective. So the idea is, again, in the future, we're just imagining, again, the setup here being like we've got these meta glasses. There's already this telepathy band. Um, there, there are create your own course. There are agents that are going into LMSs, and I, I think the point that Lisa's making is we didn't grow up with this. It doesn't really feel like how we would do things, right? Like that's always the way it is. Like sometimes you adapt a bit to what comes after you've sort of gone through life, but it's going to be much more natural or maybe expected for students to have these sorts of experience. There's a institution right now that I was just working with. They're building, they're totally transforming their advising and enrollment support for students, where every student gets their own agent that learns about them and gives them personalized recommendations for their degree completion pathway. And so when I went, like you went to the gym and you had to like go to tables and sometimes the course would be closed. Like that would, of course, that doesn't make sense to students now. Like that wouldn't happen. And so maybe it won't make sense to whatever technology we have. That was it, right? It was so crazy. I had no context for this happening, and no one told me what was happening, so I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, I just this is happening. So our roles, I think, are being disrupted in a way because a lot of this work is being changed in what's possible for students, and what we sort of maintained as our expertise and what's being available to other people is being changed. And that's the next section. And then we'll get into what do we do about it and talk a little bit about how we'll spend the rest of our time. So this is what I say how AI broke instructional design. Well, forever up until, let's say, the 2010s, teachers just built courses. And then thanks a lot to Maryland Online, actually, like literally, and the spin-off, right, of quality, the quality matters and all this stuff, instructional design really became a thing that became a profession at large in education, online course quality, just course quality bleeding over into face-to-face quality. And then, of course, 2022, as we see in the chat, a lot of folks are adopting AI tools into their workflows. Like, wow, this just makes me better. But then these tools get created that bypass our roles, right? So, like Magic School does this just directly to the instructor. They don't need to come to us anymore. Like, they can have best practices, or just even if you know a little bit about the questions to ask, or the output that you want, you can just go to Gemini or Claude or GPT and have it do curriculum design, and it does it very well. Blackboard, Canvas, now it's integrated into LMSs in starting really last year, where again, maybe it's adaptive to the students, maybe it's even bypassing the teacher in that sense. And then, as I showed, certainly it's in the hands of students. I know a ton of students, they're using the course, their experience to say, okay, these are the courses I need to take. Here's the syllabus. Here are the assignments. And then I'll just put this into Notebook LM and I'll learn it my own way for those motivated students. And they're sort of designing things that are personal to them in the way that they learn. I mean, if you haven't used some of Google's learning tools, they're amazing. I mean, you can just create any sort of adaptive experience you want. And again, the better you are at loading in, like, okay, don't give me the correct answer, identify the topic that I'm struggling with and make sure I get it before I move on. You can do all that. And we can't do that at scale. Our role is important. And I think our role isn't defined what it looks like in the future. And that's what we're going to spend the rest of our time doing is to say, how do we, given our workloads that we have, actually make ourselves as indispensable as we've been in a world where a lot of the things that we've done are either being distributed to teachers or students directly, or where what we're being asked to create are learning objects and learning experiences that we don't have the expertise in yet. And I think that's such a big, important point for us, right? Like we were trained and are experts in certain things, but none of us were trained or are experts in curriculum design in an AI era where agents are in Canvas completing courses. Like we should just admit that. We still have our jobs, but we need to adapt into a world where, hey, 5 years from now, am I getting hired with the skills that I was hired with 10 years ago? I probably need some additional skills or additional ways of looking at my job. So that's what we're going to do with the rest of our time. And we're going to use this Miro, which you can click on. I think I can open up and show the link. We're going to do the first part of this, which will be do this, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. We're going to come back to this Notion page, and we're going to look at this formula about how we can start thinking about our work differently and how we can start um, developing the skills that we're going to need in the years to come. And then we'll go back into the Miro to operationalize that. So I'm going to bring this screen up. I'll put the link in the chat. We didn't, you can click it through the Notion. But I'm going to put it in the chat here. And then I'll wait for a couple of thumbs up in the chat to let me know you're there. I'll see some folks coming in, of course. Okay, we got some visiting visionaries and writers and things scrolling around. Thank you. So the first thing I want to do is I just put these here just in case you don't know how Miro works. You can go to the side and add some notes, some sticky notes, bring them in. And if you don't know how to do that, you can just take one of these and copy it and paste it as you would, whatever your technique is. And I just messed it up and because I had the link. So start adding post-its under do this, just this column here, of all the things that you do in your job, like send emails, resolve LMS tickets. That post it really big. Thank you. Yeah, we'll take a minute to get settled in. So all the things, big and small, that you do, just on the left, visiting drafter. We're going to move to the right after this. These are just anything that you do. You write emails, you collaborate with faculty, you design courses, you create projects, you go to meetings, you do student support. Yeah, and once you get one of your notes down, you can just duplicate that and then type something else. Whenever it starts with deal with, that's not gonna be a positive. That's not gonna be overly enthusiastic. Excellent. Let's move that interact with students over to the left as well as the visiting drafter. I can help do that. Yeah, you just share your ideas. We'll resize later. There's no formality here. Just all the things. And I mean, plan your week, submit time cards. Again, respond to like even the most mundane things that you do, or what happens when you're doing let's say, an instructional design process. You're like following up with faculty a bunch of times. If you're in a supervisory role, you're doing annual reviews or monthly meetings. Maybe you're on, because you work in higher ed, like a bunch of committees. Certainly accessibility, another skill that we didn't learn exactly how to do that with the coming changes. Working with that instructor at the end of the semester who is an adjunct and doesn't know how to use the grade book. Not that that was a recent experience that I'm still bitter about. We'll put on another 60 seconds and then we'll um, do the next one and then we'll go back to the notion. Oh, that's a good idea. One note with lots of items. Now, I think what's so amazing and why I think instructional designers are so valuable is we are so I I feel like it was last year or a year ago there was like this webinar, I forget who it was by, where like they use this the Swiss Army knife metaphor for instructional designers, and I think that's very accurate. We're like experts in so many different things, or are expected to do so many different things. Okay, so that's good. We got a lot of things there. Now, this next column next to this, what I want to think about, and these are going to be probably fewer items, is what are the things out of all these lists, and maybe some things that you haven't thought about, the things that literally only you could do or that require your specific brand of subject matter expertise. Or another way to ask it is if you could only do one thing or two things based on the things that you think you do best or that best exemplify your subject matter expertise, what are those things? So I'm going to guess, for example, like making copies might not be, I don't know, put that on there, but like making photocopies wouldn't be something that you probably pick. It's maybe something you do, but it doesn't necessarily require expertise. Like an LMS admin, maybe if that is your expertise, that is on this list. But for me, it was not my expertise, but I was had to know it and I was better at it than other people. So like administering the LMS became something that I did, but it certainly wasn't my expertise. Media production, course alignment. See, these are different, right? These probably make up a very small portion of your actual work. So the things that really are what make you really indispensable in the role? What keeps you there? Or where do you add the most value, do you think? We'll put another 45 seconds on this one. And I love in the chat is like advise faculty on course design. Is this, are you seeing that as like a relational role? Like that's the key? Or is it like your subject matter expertise with course design itself? I know it's like combining those two, but I'm just curious. You could put that in the chat or on your note. The relationship side. Cool. Okay, so what we've done now is we've done a lot of things, and this isn't even close to the amount of things that we do, right? But we've said the things that really differentiate us. These are the things that we think today are adding the most value. And we want to think about those things in particular on the right as, okay, these are the things that I probably need to do more of, but also the things that I might need to modify given AI, or upskill specifically in how AI supports these things. So already I feel like we've got some really good, if we stopped here, we've got some good takeaways, right? Like I probably don't want to focus too much on getting better at the things on the left per se, but I want to get really good at double down on the things on the right, maybe use AI to support those, certainly use them to differentiate me. And the key point, which we're going to get at, is make more time for those things and the skills that I'm going to need in the given the world. So here is the formula. There is a book that you can get that breaks this all down. It's an ebook I put together. It's free. I exchange it for your email, but if you want it, but I'm going to give you the information here. So if you want to get that book, you can do it. So basically, the idea is we all already have too much work. And so we can't get better at anything. This is really the paradox, right? We can't become AI native, AI first, AI expert in our jobs because our jobs already take too much of our time. So we need to find margin. That is the foundation to what comes next in our roles. Like we need just room to breathe for a minute. And that's where we're going to spend the rest of the time in the back in the Miro. And we take that time to learn what we need to learn how to do those things that we love to do that make us unique, learn how to be better at those, learn the things that we don't know that we think are going to be essential. Then the next thing we need to share those things. We can't just, and that's why there's a multiplication. We can't just learn them ourselves. We have to share them, not necessarily social media sharing, but we need to tell our team or tell faculty or create resource. We have to do something with the things that we're learning so that we start communicating how our value proposition is changing for our stakeholders, which are going to be faculty, other parts of our team, and the institution more broadly. And that is what's going to give us the impact to get us closer to where I think we need to be at institutions. We need to be saying, hey, look, this is essential because we're as close to this end result, whatever that is at your institution, as possible. For some, it's going to be revenue. For some, it's enrollment. For some, it's accessibility and meeting those demands. For some, there's like a big media production and it's, hey, this gets us closer to meeting those goals. So making the time to learn the things, distribute what you're learning out to start shifting the narrative around what your instructional design work is and what your team does so that you continue to have impact as the world changes. And so margin is where we're going to spend our time first. And there's 5 ways to get margin. First, you can stop doing things. This is why we started with those lists. You can stop doing certain things that don't produce value to where you're going. We stopped, and a lot of the things that we did really involve all of these things. So I'll go through all of them and I'll give an example. So delegate, you could hand off something to someone else to do. This could be putting it back on the faculty. This could be giving it to people on your team. This could be student workers, whatever resources are available. You can optimize. You can just say, here's my process, here's my workflow, and I need to reduce this by 20% to get me more time. Productizing is like, here's something I do all the time, and I can create something so that someone else can do it. And then obviously automate. We can use AI to automate some of our workflows. So again, I'll use an example of something that we did. We stopped helping faculty resolve their gradebook issues at the end of the semester. Now, we didn't stop helping them. We just started helping them in a different way. We delegated to them the task of doing it by productizing what we thought were the common ways that we helped resolve that problem. Because the problem was the gradebook works if you set it up right. And everyone was doing these crazy things with extra credit and drop the last 5. And we would say, hey, if you want us to create your gradebook the right way, book a meeting with us. If you want to keep using this formula, here are the things that you should look out for. And that was just an email that got sent to everyone who at the end of the semester asked us that question. And yeah, like there's pushback about customer support, but we cannot learn what we need to learn to effectively create learning experiences or do whatever your task is if we're always doing these tickets that should be resolved. We'll call them tickets that should have been resolved the first time. Again, if agents are doing our online coursework, then we need, this is how I viewed it, then we need to learn new skills. We need to design differently. And so we have to start doing different things differently. So that example sort of encapsulated a lot of these. So I want to go back to the Miro, and I want you to think about things that you could stop doing, things that you could delegate, that's the hand, things that you could optimize, things that you could productize, or things that you could automate. And I think a lot of these things are going to be not the things in your right-hand column. These are going to be the things in the left-hand column. What are things that you could stop doing? What are things that you could have someone else do? Again, a faculty or the person asking you could potentially resolve this issue on their own. Are there things that you could optimize? Are there ways that you could make a process that you have or process that you have more efficient? Is there a training that you always give that you could deliver as a prepackaged training? Could you use AI to automatically respond, let's say, to emails or do a first pass? We used AI as the first pass at course outlines for faculty. We would do an intake. We created it. It was a custom GPT, and we would get three outlines that used to take us weeks would be done in an hour. And then we would modify those a little bit and we would send them out. Things that you could stop, delegate, optimize, productize, or automate. So something we did is we used a tool called Arcade. Scribe is another one, or Tango. And there are those, if you ever get on a website and or they have a new feature and they make you sort of click through the different features to show you how to use the app. We created that for new faculty onboarding. So obviously in our institutions, right, you're always getting that week before the semester starts. Faculty are being hired to teach for the first time, and we wanted to give them bare bones. How do you get your course set up? And so we created it in Arcade where it's a clickable walkthrough. So it's not instructions. It's not just like a document that you should follow. It's not just a template, oh, there is that. It's a clickable walkthrough that says these are the three highest value things you can do to get ready for your class on Monday. And that was the grade book. It was like the four tools that we thought every faculty should learn, like how to create a heading. We were in Moodle, how to create a heading, how to create a quiz, how to create a forum, how to create an assignment. And that was it. And it was a clickable work through. And we literally reduced the amount of tickets in the first week of the semester by 50% from the first year to the second year of doing that. And people felt more supported. Yeah, a lot of the support ticket thing came from us. Obviously we tracked all our tickets, and um, we just looked at the ones that were most frequent, the ones that were most frequently caused by user error, and those are the ones we decided to delegate, as you put it, and to stop doing, in the sense that I can't help you. It was like we were cutting off a family member who was making bad choices. That's the way we said, I cannot support you making these life choices anymore. I love you and I'm always here for you when you want to do the right thing. Yeah, I mean, I think with AI, and AI will generally produce really generic course design. And if you ask it to like design for AI, it'll do a very generic job. But you could definitely create some amazing content if you give AI some context and really build it more like an agent system, like a stepwise system. Then you can completely streamline at least the content creation in that sense. And then, of course, content creation in terms of media, it can be definitely optimized today. Project management, probably one of the most important things that we can do, right? We just found that you could do a course in, let's say it took 30 something working hours to create a course, but those were typically um, spread out over months because of faculty availability, because of chasing down emails, because of not getting feedback on the work that we were doing. Lisa, what's our time? I mean, I know what time it is. When does our session end? Just to clarify so I can frame our last few. Anyone in the chat?
I believe it ends at 11. So we do have,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Perfect timing. So now I want to move over on our board here because we've got some good ideas. Let's less meetings. I mean, that is it. Like you could definitely say we're going to fewer meetings. Like if the committee isn't moving the needle, well, that's sort of already. Let's just say if you're not essential at the meeting, stop going to meetings. If your team could your team do meetings differently? Um, I think like a lot of people are like write short memos now if you're the team leader. Like this is what I'm thinking this week. Definitely think about that, or just using Teams or Slack or whatever better. Again, support tickets, I use that one over and over again. Yeah, the repository, we did that again for the tickets, and we created them in two ways. Again, a tool like Arcade, I don't get like paid for these, but a tool like Arcade, I really love Tango, or Scribe for walkthroughs. These are just you do the task and it screenshots it and it uses AI to tell you what the task is. So like you don't even have to like write over it. They are literally game changing. You can use them for course design, you can use them for ticketing, and then just create those in a repository. And you can, with online tools, like you can just create a searchable database. And you can say, hey, here's our FAQs, and they're not just, it's not just like a Jira or something that looks terrible. Like you could create it compelling enough. Um, we tried the chatbot for a while. We didn't have a ton of people using it, but those are also easy to train on support. Because basically what we're doing, right, a lot of the times is Googling it for people or GPTing it for people. Excellent. So yeah, so even your LMS might have the repository. So the last two questions before we kind of have closing thoughts is the green arrow is like, what do you need to learn right now to either do those things? Like, what would you need to learn if you were going to delegate support tickets? Is it a tool you need to learn? Is it a skill that you need to learn? Or do you need to go back and learn how to create automatic responses in emails so that you don't actually have to respond to that emails? Like, what might you want to learn either for that column or again, we could go back to our right-hand column with the star. Are there things that you want to learn more about your core skills or what's next? So it doesn't necessarily have to be about how to execute that middle row. It can be. But like, what are the things that you really, really want to learn in your craft? Because that can actually change what you put in the stop, delegate, optimize. And what I found is it's it's a little stressful, right? It's like getting the new tool. I searched for the chatbots for the clickable walkthroughs. Again, I went through several tools. I felt like I had to rethink who I was and what I was doing. Like a lot of my value. I always said that we're sort of like, I don't know if this is true for you, sort of like Munchausen by proxy, where like for forever, my value was the fact that the stakeholder couldn't solve the problem themselves. And then I realized I was a bottleneck to my own future growth and indispensability. Because I was always solving problems that people could solve on their own, I never made time to learn the things that I need to learn. So then it was really a mind shift on the one hand, and then a technical shift on the other of learning new tools and having to implement them in the workflow. But then even just the process of doing this made me feel so much more in tuned with or capable of working in the world as it is today. So for Automate, there's this tool called Make. It can connect different tools that don't naturally have like an API connection to them. And So I went through this whole Make Academy, and it took I had to carve out the time to do it really specifically. I had to stop doing some things to do it, and I just learned about automation. I never really used the tool, but it gave me a mindset about like, oh, if this then that. Like, how do I create a QA review process that includes people at the right times and systems at the right time? Because it just really changed my thinking about what was possible and really where I was a bottleneck in the process. Yeah, I mean, adaptive learning is changing so quickly. The tools that are out there, and that's another thing, it can feel sort of overwhelming, which is why we're going through this exercise to be like, I'm not gonna do these things. I see that this thing is low value, or you're gonna decide, like, if I automated emails, would be the thing that really saves me 2 hours this week to do this next thing? So 2 minutes now. This one's the hardest because we're not there yet, but I do want you to imagine like what would it look like if you started sharing, this is the phone, if you started sharing what new things you're doing, is it just really while you're working with faculty? Is it that you're going to whoever is the supervisor or whoever, whatever department you're under, and just giving them a heads up on like, hey, we're automating our QA process over the next month, 6 months. This is what we do now. And 6 months from now, we feel like this is going to save us on average 20 hours a semester because we implement this and we're going to be learning this along the way. Hey, super exciting that we're creating this solutions repository. Like you don't even have to create it yet to tell faculty in the bottom of emails, hey, stay tuned. In the next few weeks, we're going to have this, our first version, and it has 3 tools in it, the 3 most common things. Like, what were the things? Because the sharing part is the most about the visibility and about, I always used to say, like changing the rumor about the value, right? So we were under academic affairs, so that we really are a teaching side, but everyone really thought of us as the LMS side because we would solve their LMS problems. So, like, what rumor do you want to start changing about the services that you provide or the value that provide? Because look at how few stickies are under the star, and look at how many things you do. Like stickies under the star are the things that you should be known for, but maybe you aren't because you're doing all those other things that are middle stop delegate is meant to say, hey, look, those aren't our differentiators anyway, or they are, and we can get better at them. So, like, what rumors do you want to start changing? Maybe that's even a better framing than how would you share it? Yeah, that's the trade-off between the email is tricky. So what we found is we automated some of the emails in the instructional design process, and we sort of made them come as if they were from the designer. And the faculty were like, I know that's not from the instructional designer. I appreciate the update. That's actually very helpful to me, but just say it's from the system. Like this is an automated response to tell you. So for like Amazon, you're not disappointed that you get the update that it's on the way. But if it was like if it pretended it was someone, maybe you would be like, I know this is a computer. So you are making decisions as you're doing these trade-offs. Yeah, what do you want to be known as, known for? Thank you, visiting writer, for being bold. There always has to be a first. Of course, that's what we learned in the lottery, isn't it? Like once the first person threw the stone, they killed the person. But anyway, it gets the momentum going. Yeah, that would be a great rumor. Like the thing that we think of when we think of you, your work, and your office is that you improve student outcomes. So if a ton of your work is not directly supporting that, perfect candidates for our middle column of stopping or delegating. That's the frame that we're developing here. If it's not the thing that you want to be known for, if it's not the thing that you're best at, perfect candidate for that middle. And again, that middle can also be things that you do want to be known for, but that you want to do more efficiently or at better scale, at greater scale. I love that, facilitating the design, right? So a lot of times we're doing the design where now we're empowering other people to do the design, maybe through some streamlined processes, maybe through some productized offerings that make them feel empowered to do it. And we really have that overseeing role that, hey, they really look at us as the final stamp on quality. Well, I found this super useful and we're right on time. So again, if you want to learn more about that, you can get that for free. Before we go, question. What part of what we explored today reminded you that you were already leading well for this new era? I want to see that in the chat. I know we went to a lot of things that we want to do differently or more of. So like, what are we doing well that's already positioned you for this? Final comments in the chat. Probably this cornerstone of it, obviously relationships, right? These are the relationships outside the office is where the rumors get started. Maybe you're feeling worse. You're like, I have no idea how to automate anything. It's okay. Just find a little time. Take a little extra time. The world needs us. It's just going to need us differently in 5 years. Well, I thank you so much for your time, for your participation. Here's my contact information. You can connect with me if you um, want any more information about any of this. You can follow me. You can order the book, What Education Becomes. Again, I didn't write this book, I edited it. It's from amazing thinkers that talk about what learning becomes when AI is ubiquitous. And it's not all just, hey, rainbows and unicorns. There's things that we need to be cautious about. And also my company. So you can log on for free. You get like a free human and AI type. If you want to run it with your team, it just lets you know. Um, Oftentimes people have visions for AI, but they sort of get stuck because people are talking about and thinking about what AI should do and not do differently. So this is a tool that just gives you a little language around that. And thank you. So on time. I'll kick it back to our fabulous hosts.
I just want to clarify before Lisa comes on. This is actually Maryland Online, not Maryland Distance Learning Association.
Oh, I
And
apologize for this.
no, Patrick, it's not you. We're very close. Both organizations are very close, and we did a lot of overlap. So, but it is Maryland Online. But it wasn't. I don't know if you mentioned it or not, but I think
I
Lisa
made that
mentioned it.
mistake myself. I thank you for clarifying and your understanding.
No problem. There just maybe some people because we do these certificates at the end and just want to make sure.
Yeah. So you should have in front of you the Maryland Online Professional Development Certificate. We thank Patrick for his time. We also thank Maryland Online for hosting this wonderful informational and transformational workshop. I think we all have a lot of things to consider in our workflow and how we are kind of doing things. So thank you all so very, very much. So let me make sure, is the certificate on the screen? Because I think it
Let me stop
looks.
sharing.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
let me
Yeah.
reshare.
Yeah,
No,
Let
it
me
is. It's up.
reshare.
It's up. It's up,
It's up.
Lisa.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if I may, just
Yes.
want to, as the professional development coordinator for Maryland Online, we do have two excellent workshops coming up next week, one on micro credentials and one on extended reality design, not just virtual reality, but that could be very exciting for people as well. So, and we continue our accessibility series over the next month as well. So, thank you very
Wonderful.
much, Patrick and Lisa, very
Yeah,
much.
Oh,
thank you.
you're very welcome. I enjoyed
And
it.
Patrick, one quick question. The link, the slide, I know you had shared the link that had kind of the presentation, the book and all of that. When we share the recording out, we can share all of that information as well.
That would be great. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's right on the
Fantastic.
link. So thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.